Hi everyone, this is another video of the same series of Language in the Cell for paper 4, and this is my third video in which I am covering or analyzing different questions that are given in the past papers of paper 4. This is another 2021 past paper, and this is an article published on the CBC website, that is Canadian Broadcasting Corporation website, and the key idea here is discuss. So what you are discussing, you will discuss how language can shape and reflect personal and social identity. You're asked to quote examples from your wider study that shows to your readers how language can shape personal and social identity. When we talk about personal social identity, think of all those characteristics or the traits in you that makes you different from others, means that makes your personal identity, and how your personal identity makes a difference in the social circle when you are with the friends. What makes you different from them? The title of the article says the accent effect. What is an accent? Accent means the way you speak a language, the way you pronounce words in a language. So the way I'm speaking right now, it's my accent. Can you change your accent? People say that accent makes your personality. Definitely, when I'm speaking my mother tongue, the same style I'm using to speak second language, that is English. So, can I change my identity? I can improve my accent, I can improve my identity, but I cannot simply change my identity. Subtitle of this article says why some people try to chip away at their accent, or why they take away their accent, why they remove their accent. So first I want to annotate this article, then I'll let you know the most important points that you should discuss in your response. I think you know the first thing to know is Maria. That Maria is a Vancouver-based actress, and she is telling her story about accent. She says that that the listener presumes solely based on her accent, means people make presumptions. So based on your accent, they have the false beliefs about you. When people would hear my accent, it would be a couple of jokes about being Russian. Okay, they consider her as Russian, but she was actually a Ukrainian. So she says that a lot of small things people assume about you as soon as they hear your accent are totally wrong, right? So the next paragraph says that Maria left Ukraine for Toronto in 2013 with a strong grasp. Okay, she had a strong grasp of English language, but overlaid with what she calls really thick Ukrainian Russian accent. As an aspiring actress, she deemed that her accent one of my weaknesses. Okay, her accent was one of her weaknesses because she has a very strong accent, and it's really hard to get in an audition room when you have an accent. When you have an accent means it is something, some part of your personality which you cannot easily change. Rather than being treated as other people, you are falling into the category of foreigners who can't really maintain the role. Okay, it happens that when you do not have the same accent as the people around you, you are considered as an alien. So in order to get mixed up with those people, you have to either change your accent or reduce or modifies your accent. So the third paragraph says feeling it hindered her craft, shut her out of the dream gigs. She sought out accent reduction. Okay, this is an important term here, that is accent reduction. From voice and dialect coaches, taking sessions over 3 years in Toronto and Vancouver, where she now resides, and doing out over $1,000, she credits the exercises with softening her accent. She did this accent reduction for softening her accent and feels that it is now only a subtle one. Now I'm considered as someone on their own level, as a person who just sounds slightly different, but doesn't necessarily come across as someone who is foreign. Means she is no more alien now. Accent reduction and accent modification, okay, refer to the terms used by the businesses that strive to change It means to change how a person pronounces an English. The problem is, what is the problem now? There is no standardization in the field, says Monroe, a linguistic professor at Simon Fraser University. When I hear the expression accent reduction, that already makes me uncomfortable because it somehow implies that the stronger the accent, okay, when you have a strong accent, the stronger the accent, the worse it is. And you want to trim away at it and get rid of it. And that's not necessarily true. Toronto-based speech pathologist Bonnie Gross recognizes that it is difficult to lose an accent. Okay, you cannot lose an accent because it is part of your personality. But having worked with hundreds of clients, she said it's possible to reduce the accent. You can reduce it somehow. I do it every day with people from all over the world. Gross said most often her clients feel or have been told that their accent is affecting their jobs prospects or that they can't be understood. Employers approach her to wanting to refer an employee. Okay, for Monroe, whether you speak with a foreign accent or like a local, intelligibility is key, but having an accent is not the same thing as lacking intelligibility. He said people often confuse the two. We have shown quite conclusively it's possible to have a very strong accent and yet be perfectly easy to understand. To be perfectly intelligible, be a good communicator. Okay, this is the annotation of this article. The most important thing that you have to discuss in your response is how some people make presumptions about you solely based on your accent. It is true that people consider you proud. They consider you aggressive. They sometimes consider you dishonest on the basis of your strong accent. So what happens that you are misjudged by them solely based on your accent. When people make presumptions about you based on your accent, then the point comes at how it has led to a demand for accent reduction and accent modification. But you know what happens when people try to reduce or modify their pronunciation? There is a fear that they may be losing their identity because pronunciation is a part of your identity. So there is a fear that you will look fake in front of others if you are modifying or reducing your pronunciation or your accent. Another point you can quote in your response that accent reduction, the stronger the accent, the worse it is. How is it so? You have to write. You have to discuss this point with the help of examples, and this is not necessarily true. Why it is not necessarily true? You have to give example from your wider study then. And accent is affecting their job prospects. How can somebody's accent affecting their job prospects? Or that some accent means that they can't be understood. And why it is said that you may have a very strong accent and yet be perfectly easy to understand. It means accent is not a problem anymore. It means keeping the same idea as accent reduction and modification in mind. I just want to add a name that is Judy Gilbert here, who is an American English teacher, and she claims that she has given a new term that is accent addition. She says that we are not actually reducing or modifying our accent. We are learning a new code which can help us in making ourselves intelligible to others. So we are basically improving our accent. So when you are learning a new code, it does not mean that you are changing your identity, but it does mean that you are this new code will help you to survive in a new community that you are living in. Okay, this is all about accent, and the most important point discussed in that article are how people make presumptions about you on the basis of your accent, and what are these terms as accent reduction and as accent modification, how people can reduce and modify their accent, and is there any other term or introduced in that area, or what about the importance of intelligibility? Means if you have an accent and you are intelligible, it means you can make an identity in any community. You can be a part of that community. It's quite okay. So if you want to learn more about these elements, you must read some articles on accent reduction, accent modification to have a better response in your exams.